All right, there we are. Welcome, everyone. Stephen here, live on Wisely Living yet again. So today I'm excited to share with you 5 simple exercises that can help strengthen the pelvic floor muscles, which support the bladder, the bowels, and affect sexual function. So very important, right? All right, make sure to stick around to the end of the video. Well, as always, feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat. Let's get started. Pretty simple today. We just have a yoga mat. If you don't have a mat, or if getting up and down off the ground is something that just doesn't work for you, this can be done lying flat on your couch. This can be done lying in your bed. So know that you don't necessarily have to come down to the ground for these exercises. Other things that we're going to need, I have a yoga block, but you can do a blanket work for that, or like a soccer ball. We'll get more into that as we come into the exercise. And then I just have a blanket here. It's kind of nice to have something rest on your head, because everything we're going to be doing today is going to be on the back. So let's get this party started. I'm going to go ahead and make my way onto my back here. So doing the same as well. And we're going to start with a pelvic tilt. And this is actually really important for strengthening that pelvic floor. So what we want to do is we're going to rock the pelvis back. And as we do, so there's that natural, when you're just like the sits bones and the shoulders on the floor, you have this nice little arch here where you can actually stick your hand underneath it. And we're trying to eliminate that. So what you're going to do is you're going to rock that pelvis back. And what we don't want to do, oftentimes when people try to engage, they push into the legs to push their low back down. So remember, this isn't pushing into the legs. It's using the muscles to rock that pelvis back. See how I've eliminated that space between the floor there? And release. And this is something we want to just kind of do back and forth. You want to hold it anywhere from about 3 to 5 seconds and then relax. So let's try it again. Rock that back. And I've heard oftentimes people talk about drawing the navel down. And I don't know that that necessarily helps me. For me, it's more about that pelvic rock. But if that visualization of pulling the navel down helps you root a little more deeply to the mat, go ahead and do that. And let's relax. And let's go ahead and try one more time. Rock that pelvis back. Bring the low back in contact. And you should feel that. The hard part about doing these videos is that, go ahead and release. When we're working on the pelvic floor, there's not much to see. It's more how you're going to feel. It's a very subtle practice. So you'll feel it much more internally than is being represented on the screen here. So that's the first one I want to show you. The next one is going to be the pelvic clock. So very similar to what we just did. Again, we're not pushing the feet in to accomplish this. We're going to rock that pelvis back. We're coming up to noon or 12. And then we're going to rock the pelvis forward. We're coming into 6. And this is where I want you to start. Rock to 12, rock to 6. And we're trying to keep as much of that back onto the ground as we can. 12 and 6. And then you can start building up from there. That in and of itself is a really good workout, but we can start bringing it over. We can come on over to 3 and 9. And see how I'm moving my legs? It's really hard not to. 3, 9. And then we can start working on those diagonal numbers. So as you develop the strength and the flexibility here, and again, it may not look like I'm doing very much, but really when you're on the mat, if you're trying this right now, you're going to notice there is a lot going on when you're trying to do this. So that is the pelvic clock. And again, you want to hold those, just a few seconds each time. And as we progress these, this is not something we want to do every day on these ones. Peppered in, maybe like every other day. Give this a whirl. All right. So the next one, we're going to need a block. This is the one I was talking about. So a soccer ball works well. A stiff blanket works too. So what I want you to do is take the block or whatever prop it is that you have. I like to place mine just below the kneecaps. The feet are going to be flat on the floor. And what we want to do is we're going to get that same pelvic tilt. So we're rocking the pelvis forward. We're rooting through that low back. And as we do, we're going to squeeze the knees into the block. So it's not just the knee squeeze. We're also actively rocking that back. And release. Again, just a few seconds each time. Go ahead and rock it back. Squeeze. And release. One more time. Let's rock it back. Squeeze that block in between your knees. And release. Now, if this is something that you find very easy, there are different levels of difficulty that we can move this up to. So the next one would be lifting those knees up so we get like 90-90 here. So I'm continuing to rock that pelvis forward, the low back. It's much easier to do the low back when the knees are elevated like this, and we're pressing those knees into the block. And if you've progressed past that, the next step would be, we're at that 90-90, you're pushing the knees into the hands and the hands into the knees, but we're trying not to move either direction. So actively pushing the two into each other, and we're continuing to squeeze the block in. There's a lot going on here, and it's much harder than it actually seems. So pick which one works best for you, and you can kind of gauge it and move as you build that strength. All right. Oh, sorry. We're going to need this block for the next one too. So what we're going to do here is we're going to place that block right back in between the knees here. And this is going to be an isometric movement. So we're pushing the knees into the block. And as we do, we're pushing the feet away. And I know that moving without actually moving, getting that isometric stretch is a little bit difficult. And you can probably see my feet moving a little bit as I do it, which is really common. So we just want to hold as still as possible. So again, it's that pinching of the block, and we're pushing the feet out at the same exact time. So you have those opposing movements of drawing in and pushing away. Whew. I don't know if you can see that at all, but that's pretty intense movement right there. So again, that's something that we want to kind of build into. We're only holding it a few seconds each time, and to your comfort level. We never want to do more than maybe like 8 to 10 of each one of these exercises. And again, building that strength as we go. All right. And for the last one, we are going to do a Kegel exercise. And oftentimes I think there's a misconception that Kegel exercises are strictly for women, but Kegel exercises are as much for men as they are for women. As I mentioned before, the bladder, the bowels, and sexual function are all tied into this. So anytime we can strengthen that is good for male and female. The way that I like to teach Kegels is, first thing we want to keep in mind is we're going to relax the thighs, the glutes, and the belly. So as we do this, and you don't have to do this lying down, you can do this, you can do this doing dishes. Like once you learn how to engage the Kegel, you'll find that you can do it. And it's actually, this is one of those ones where you can do it multiple, up to 3 times a day and really every day to create that strength. So I find the best way to teach this, so keeping the thighs, the glutes, and the belly relaxed, I want you to, first we're going to act like we're withholding, pretend like you really have to use the restroom. So we're holding in pee and we're holding in gas. So pretend there's that sensation, that pressure of like, you want to release gas and you also have to urinate. So same things, we're contracting forward and we're engaging back here. So it's the front and the back are engaged. So we're holding gas, we're holding back the urine. And as we do that, this is when we're going to lift that pelvic floor. So it's one of those things where it's like a squeeze and lift at the same time. So feeling that, engage, squeeze and lift that pelvic floor, and then release. And you should actively be able to feel that release and lowering of the pelvic floor. So let's again, engage, like you're withholding urine and gas, lifting that pelvic floor up, and then again, we release. And you want to hold these again from, do them 5 to 10 times. And again, we're holding about, 5 seconds again. And again, you can do these up to 3 times a day. One thing we do want to do, again, just really tuning into the body, making sure the legs, the glutes, the belly, but also that we're not holding our breath. I see a lot of times when people come into this, they also scrunch up their face and they start holding their breath. That is not the idea here. The only part of the body we're really trying to engage is that pelvic floor. So try that lift again. And go ahead and release. So that's it. Engage, lift, release. And while these all seem pretty simplistic and basic moves, they really pay dividends into the future. So it's something that I would suggest that you do, especially those Kegel lifts for men and women, every day till we reach that point where you're feeling strong and have more control in that area. There we go. Give yourself a pat on the back. We've done it again. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this content. If you did, please give us that thumbs up on the stream here. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. I'm going to continue going live to work my way through the entire body every Wednesday at 1 p.m. now until the end of September. I'm going to be offering different ways to alleviate pain in specific parts of the body. So we'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. So feel free to leave a comment below. Your feedback is what helps us create our content, making sure that stuff that you love and find valuable Remember, your journey is unique. We're here to support you every step of the way, either here on YouTube or at wiselyliving.media. Links to both of those in the description below. Until next time, stay mindful, stay active, stay balanced. Thanks for joining me.